I've been using Claude every single day for the past year, working for a 7-figure-a-year enterprise, building out custom automations, dashboards, and agents. And in that time, I've learned exactly what not to do. And more importantly, I've learned how to think like a top-tier software developer. And if you stick around to the end of this video, tip 6, I guarantee you nobody is talking about. So let's get into it. Tip number 1, use Claude Code, not desktop or Cowork. Desktop and Cowork are excellent starting points for anybody who's looking to get into AI to optimize their workflows and start making more efficient moves. The desktop allows you to open up projects and inject prompts or instructions, as they call it, into these projects so you don't have to keep reprompting Claude for the same type of work that you do. Cowork, on the other hand, has much greater capabilities and allows you to connect different data sources, different applications. Both desktop and Cowork will actually allow you to use coding technology to create platforms, processes, and automations. But what they're lacking is the depth and breadth at which Claude Code goes. Claude Code runs in a terminal on your desktop computer, and don't be off-put by the terminal. I know when I first started using it, I was definitely intimidated by working inside of a coding terminal as somebody with no software engineering background. Once I got over that hump, I never went back because Claude Code inside of your terminal allows you so many more capabilities. I mean, you can open up multiple terminals in the same instance. You can set up a persistent memory system, which I'll get into in a little bit. And it allows you to work with files that are already on your PC directly on there without having to upload any CSVs or files like you would have to do in desktop. So for those reasons alone, I find Claude Code to be a far superior way of using and interacting with this technology. Moving on to tip number 2, and this is a big one. See, I have a coaching background, and when you start training to be a coach, one of the fundamental skills that you learn is how to be an excellent communicator. And that doesn't just mean being good at talking, it means learning how to ask open-ended questions and ask questions that lead to more detailed answers. And if you can apply this skill set to working with Claude Code and basically any of these AI systems, you're going to get much, much better results and richer outcomes from these systems. Everything that you receive from these systems comes downstream from what and how you ask. Open-ended questions are typically questions that start with who, what, where, when, why, and how. If you ask these types of questions as opposed to yes or no questions, you're going to get a lot deeper explanations, especially if you're working in Claude Code. The other half of this tip is not only asking good quality questions, but being able to follow high quality instructions. See, when we are actually orchestrators of this technology, we don't have to be masters of it yet. That comes later. But you must ask good questions and be able to follow instructions properly. These AI are extremely intelligent, especially when it comes to software and technology. So learning how to follow their instructions properly is going to guarantee that you get better results and better outcomes, which actually leads me to tip number 3. If you don't understand something, if you don't understand an instruction, if you don't understand a system or a data source or a website or anything that it tells you to do, simply ask it to explain it to you. It's as easy as that. And this is really important because you're not just building something, you're not just handing off your human critical thinking faculties. And actually, that's the exact opposite of what we want to be doing. You want to understand what you're doing. You want your learning to compound so the next time you do something, you don't have to question it. So if there's ever anything that you're doing with Claude Code or any of these systems, just ask it to explain it to you in simple terms and learn something along the way. Tip number 4, and this is a big one, spend a substantial amount of time gathering data, gathering information, and researching whatever it is that you are building. This is actually the bulk of the work in orchestrating and architecting with these tools. If you talk to any software developer who's been in this game for a meaningful amount of time, before there was even AI technology, I can guarantee you every single one of them will tell you they spent so much time planning before building anything, before writing a single line of code. And the cool thing about today is we don't have to be software developers to use these tools. And that's what I'm teaching you right here. You have to get good at being an architect. You have to get good at telling these systems what you want clearly, listening to their instructions, and giving them as much information as possible or is as needed to get the outcome that you desire. So research and gather as much as possible before you hit build. Once you actually start building, that's probably the easiest step. You basically just hit enter and the technology takes over for you and builds what it is that you want. It's the preparation, analysis, research, and learning that must come first if you really want to be doing this at a professional level. Furthermore, if you're working on something that is intricate, extensive, or requires a vast amount of thinking and tokens, you're going to want to enter plan mode. This is tip number 5. Use plan mode religiously. Don't just start coding a big build. Don't just start talking to your AI, tell it an idea you have and let it rip. You're going to have really poor outputs and you're actually going to spend a lot more time on the back end. But if you have something extensive that you want to build, say it's a really complicated automation or an agent you want to set up to handle a complex task, or maybe it's even just a dashboard that compiles data sources so that you have a one-stop shop for what it is that you're doing. You're going to want to enter plan mode, and it's super easy to enter plan mode. So once you've done these other steps, once you've done the research, once you've asked open-ended questions, once you have dictated everything about this build, and I would honestly recommend you use something like Whisperflow, which I'll link in the description for you so that you can dictate rather than type, because dictation is so much faster for all of this work. Using plan mode and getting really, really clear on what it is you're building, all of the details you can think of, and then asking Claude itself, are there any aspects of this that I'm not thinking about? How can we get creative with this build and ship something quicker and more effective right away? Start asking it more open-ended questions. Have this little back and forth with your system in plan mode. And then this is super important, you guys. Actually read through the plan and make sure you understand what it's doing, because while this technology is incredible and groundbreaking, they do make mistakes, they do hallucinate, they do include things sometimes that you actually didn't tell it what to do because they're designed to try and be efficient. But sometimes you'll be reading through the plan and you'll see, actually, I don't want you to do that, or actually, you understood me wrong. So it's super important that you read through the plan, get out your notebook, and I just use a notepad right on my computer and write down all of the things that I want to be changed, write down all the things that were wrong, write down all the things that maybe you need to modify, and stay in plan mode until you have had this back and forth enough where the plan is as perfect as you're going to get it. Only then do you hit enter and start building. Which brings me to tip number 6, and I do believe this is the one that is least talked about, but so important if you want to be doing this at a professional level. The real work starts actually after the build is done. It's never actually done until you've performed this step, but this is so important. You must spend time reviewing, analyzing, and correcting the work that the AI tech delivered. So again, I just use my notebook for this. And once the thing has been shipped for me, once the product or dashboard or automation or whatever it is, do extensive testing. You can actually tell Claude to include a self-audit step at the end of your plan, and I would encourage you to do this. Have it run smoke tests. You can even tell it what tests you want it to run. Include this in the plan. It will perform a self-audit for you, and especially if you're using Fable, which is more expensive to use, it'll automatically do this. But have the self-audit be performed and then do a visual yourself. Go through everything that was built. You're going to find all kinds of little errors, hiccups, things that don't look right aesthetically, all those types of things. Jot everything down on your notepad and then re-enter plan mode with all of your corrections. Because if you just list out each one of these corrections one by one, or if you put a couple of them and then you hit enter and allow it to just start going crazy, rebuilding things for you. You're going to be wasting tokens. You're going to be wasting time. It's so much better to just do this in plan mode so that all of your corrections can be coded at once rather than doing it piecemeal. And you may have to do this process a number of times. I would also encourage you as a bonus to, once you build something and you've started revising and editing, take some space, go step outside, go put your feet on the ground, or actually even sleep on it and then look at it again with fresh eyes. I mean, because you will be a different person when you come back to it and you'll notice different things. This process is not as simple as one-shotting it. I don't care what any influencer on X or YouTube tells you. It is almost impossible to one-shot anything meaningful. This is the process. You research, you ask good questions, you make the plan, you build it, and then you revise and edit everything to perfection. If you want to be a professional, if you want to do this at the highest level, these are the steps you want to follow. And last but not least, this is a non-negotiable. You must set up a persistent memory system. And lucky for you, I've done all the groundwork for you, especially as a reward if you've made it this far in the video. I'll leave a link in the description, and it includes a prompt that you can basically copy and paste right into your own Claude Code instance, and it will set up the sophisticated persistent memory system that I've created for my own workflow. Right at your fingertips, it will set up everything for you. I've tested this whole thing many times for clients, for friends, for anybody else who I've interfaced with, and I promise you this is going to speed things up for you. And let me tell you a little bit why. I mean, think about the first time that you do anything. Whether it's on the computer or you're learning a new skill or a game or anything, it's always going to take much more effort, and it's always going to take longer the first time than the next couple of times. Well, if you have this persistent memory system set up, it's essentially a second brain for you. Claude is going to remember every single step that you initiated together when you're building something, and it will also include a lessons file. This is important because no matter how sophisticated this gets, it's going to make mistakes, and you can correct it along the way. So say, for example, you're building a dashboard for the first time and it comes out, you've performed all these other steps and you've corrected it many times. There were things that went wrong, things that went right. Your persistent memory system is going to remember all of that context so that the next time you build something similar, it's going to not only remember the steps, it's going to remember the lessons and corrections that you made along the way so that when you build it, it's literally at least 10 times faster. And every single time you do that, it's going to compound. Not to mention, the persistent memory is going to allow the system to get to know you and how you work more effectively, which that just adds to the compounding effect. I'll do another video on the persistent memory system and maybe some more details as to how that works. That's it for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed these 7 tips. And honestly, excelling at this doesn't mean being a full stack software developer. While that definitely can't hurt, and those people who have that are going to probably do this faster than you. What this is about is using the tool and technology, thinking about it like a professional, and getting in there every single day, learning and compounding your learning. So with that, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.